Hello everyone, this is Tom. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about favorite 1980s alternative albums. So I'm going to start off here with number 10, Meat Puppets, Up on the Sun, released in 1985. This is a way different album than their second and first record. Way more concise, way more musical. Kirkwood is playing really nice understated guitar. It's kind of like this bouncy kind of country twang, soft kind of music. You know, it's hard to really put it into words, but it just flows really well. And for me, it doesn't really even sound like an 80s record. It could have been released in any era, really. So this is my number 10, Up on the Sun by the Meat Puppets from 85. Number 9 is the 7th album by Elvis Costello, Imperial Bedroom. This is my favorite record after his first 3 records. I think this one is really consistent all the way through. Has one of my favorite songs of his, Human Hands. In fact, the whole second side, it's just really amazing. It's even better than the first side, but Love Man at a Time, that is a true classic. Beyond Belief, and I love the ending with Town Crier. This is a high quality, top tier album for me from Costello. And it's my number 9 on my list. Number 8 is the Damned Strawberries album from 1982. This album is very musical compared to a lot of their other albums. A lot of different styles on here. You've got kind of goth. You've got almost like a Motown type vibe on Stranger in This Town. There's this goth tune that inside one called The Dog. Also kind of a psych tune called Life Goes On. I love Generals. Also, too, they're not getting rid of the punk thing yet on this album. They've got Ignite, Gun Fury, and Dozen Girls, all kick-ass tunes. Very underrated record. You never really hear anybody talk about this album much, but always loved it, still play it. It's Strawberries from the Damned, 1982. Number 8 is my favorite Replacements record, Let It Be. It's just all over the place, but that's what makes it cool. I mean, you've got silly stuff like Gary's Got a Boner, and We're Coming Out, you know, mixed in with quality ballads like Unsatisfied and 16 Blue. I think Unsatisfied might have one of the best vocals ever by Paul Westerberg. That ending is just amazing. He's just giving it his all. He's really going for all soul on that song. And then it ends with Answering Machine with just Paul on the electric guitar and vocals, which is a perfect ending to this record. So I would put this and Tim probably in the same spot, but if we can only use one, I'd put Let It Be. So Let It Be from the Replacements comes in at number 7 for me. Number 6 for me is REM's second album, Reckoning. This was a huge influence on me. I saw them play at the Hollywood Palladium back in June '84. And what was different about this show is that there was no slam pit, no hostility, no violence, just people just watching. First time I saw a concert like that ever at the Palladium, where everybody was just chill and mellow. And this album made me start a band, and it was very influential. I love Murmur as well. I love Murmur just as much, but this one just a little bit more, just because of you know, how it influenced me. And there's just not a bad song on here. Always loved Letter Never Sent. That's always been a favorite, time after time. But let's face it, the whole album is great, along with Murmur. So number 6 for me is 1984's Reckoning by REM. Number 5 is an album that's grown over me over the years. Is XTC's English Settlement. I think this has a combination of both Colin Moulding and Andy Partridge's best songs on one album. Colin Moulding wrote Runaways and Ball and Chain. Has some of Andy's best songs ever since his working overtime, and especially I love All of a Sudden It's Too Late. It has that really eerie verse and that catchy chorus, and the lyrics are great. Love this album. They have a lot of other great albums, but this is kind of like a sweet spot between their earlier stuff like Black Sea and Drums and Wires, and later stuff like Skylarking and Apples and Oranges. So For me, this is number 5 on my list, English Settlement by XTC. And number 4 is the classic London Calling by The Clash, one of the best double albums of all time. I happen to have here a rare promo copy, white label promo copy here. It's in really good shape. This album back in the day I would play to death. I still play it occasionally. It's one of the few double albums that you can play straight through. Every song is fantastic, and it's so varied musically too. I don't think they ever got this great again. They tried on Sandinista, but it's a little too bloated. But there's just everything on here is amazing. Side 1, London Calling, Brand New Cadillac, Jimmy Jazz, Hateful, Rudy Can't Fail, Spanish Bombs on side 2. The whole thing is just fantastic. And this one didn't even list Train in Vain on the back. It looks like it's ending at Revolution Rock, but it actually ends with Train in Vain. So number 3 is London Calling by The Clash. And number 3, you know, there was a time where Peter Gabriel used to be a real fringe artist, more on the alternative side, especially his first 3 records. And they play those a lot on K-Rock here in LA. And my number 3 of the 80s alternative music is his 3rd album, also known as Melt. It's an absolute masterpiece, a work of art. I think it stands with anything he did with Genesis. Those are great albums, but this is the only solo album I feel that really is a contender with all those other great Genesis albums. Everything on here from start to finish is amazing. I've always loved I Don't Remember, and Through the Wire too really rocks. I don't think Gabriel ever rocked that hard again. And side 2 with Games Without Frontiers, Not One of Us, Lead a Normal Life, and Biko. Great, great album. Still play this a lot. A classic 5-star album. Peter Gabriel, Melt. Number 3. I've always been a big X fan. I think their first 3 albums, even their first 4 albums with Billy Zoom are just perfect. But I've always preferred Wild Gift the most. It just rocks from start to finish. Back in 1980, I think it was late 1980, I was at a Moby Disc Records store in Woodland Hills. And that was the first time I ever heard X. I heard the Los Angeles record, and I didn't know who it was. To me, it sounded like Paul Kantner and Grace Slick from Jefferson Airplane, fronting a punk band. And I love that vocal blend of John Doe and Exene. It's just, to me, it's what makes the band. I mean, along with Billy Zoom's guitar and DJ Bonebreak, I mean, it's just a perfect lineup. These albums are timeless. This is on the original Slash label. I think this might be a second printing, but my favorites on here, I love Some Other Time. White Girl should have been a top 10 song. I love Pass Out on the Couch, but there is just not a bad cut on here, and it flows, rocks from beginning to end, and I enjoy listening to it quite a bit still. Wild Gift by X from 1981 is my number 2 favorite of all time on my alternative 80s list. And my number 1 is which pretty much kicked off my alternative craze back in early 1980. My brother gave me this album and he told me, listen to this on headphones. Don't let mom hear this, you know, because of all the profanity. And this is the First Pretenders album. Talk about a classic, perfect album from start to finish. This really blew me away when it first came out, and it led me to search for new music like this, and just continue my search for great alternative music. But it's side 1 just plays like a greatest hits to me. Precious, The Phone Call, Up the Neck, Tattooed Love Boys, Space Invader, The Wait, Stop Your Sobbing, which is considered the kind of the rocking side. And then you have the softer side with Kid, Private Life, Brass in Pocket, Lovers of Today, and Mystery Achievement. A perfect album and a great lineup. Chrissie Hynde, Pete Farndon, the underrated, unsung James Honeyman Scott, and Martin Chambers on drums. My number 1 album, 1980s alt album of all time, The Pretenders' debut. What are your favorite alt 80s albums? Let me know in the comments section. Please press subscribe. Have a good day, guys. Bye.